Hello and welcome to the show. Today we will be talking about the Westward expansion 8th grade standards. I'm Andrew Jones and I will be guiding you through this tour on the 8th grade standards. We're going to start with the University of Georgia. This is a land-grant university, which is a school that was given land by the government instead of the church, such as Yale was. Also, African Americans weren't allowed into the school until 1961. Finally, did you know that women were not allowed into UGA before 1918? We're next going to move on to Louisville. Louisville was the third capital of Georgia, and it became so because the former capital of Savannah wasn't close to the center of the state. It remained the capital for about 10 years because it was a capital with a brick Capitol building. Finally, Louisville was one of the largest slave markets throughout Georgia, which was very surprising to have the capital as it. The South did not necessarily believe in slaves, and to have the capital have a market of slaves was very surprising to some citizens. Next, Georgia's land policies is also a big topic in Georgia standards. There was one called the headright system. This meant that the head of every household was able to have land for every head he had working. Next, the difference between the headright system and land lotteries, which we will get to next, is that the land lotteries is a chance to win, while the headright is a system where they are guaranteed. Finally, the landowner was given 20 to 100 acres of land. As I said, we're moving on to the land lottery, which was a chance to win a portion of former Cherokee and Creek land. The head of the household would buy 5 chances and hopefully would show a number that led to a piece that they had won. How this would go down is there would be a little bingo thing, and they would pull in and get a piece of paper, and if that said a number, they would look to the chart, and the chart would have a bunch of numbers. That was acres spread out that were former Cherokee and Creek land, and let's just say this person got the number 2. They would look for 2, and this would be their new piece of land. It was like a normal lottery today, except it was for land instead of money. Next, we're going to move on to the cotton gin. This was an invention of Eli Whitney, that changed the course of slavery work as well as history itself. The cotton would go in a machine that rolls and pulls out all the seeds. This led to much easier work for the farmers as well as slaves. The first cotton gin was a piece of flat wood or stone and a roller to roll out the seeds. The way this works is you would have a ball of cotton still attached to a stalk if you wanted, and it would go inside, the roller would roll out the seed, and you would lead to have a perfectly fine piece of cotton as well as the seed over out of it. We're next going to move on to the railroads. This was another invention that would have much economic growth throughout the country and yet again changed the course of history. The first railroad charter was given to New Jersey in 1815. Next, the B&O Railroad in 1827 was the first westward-bound railroad in all of America. Finally, by 1830, did you know that only 23 miles of America was railroad? That's over the course of 25 years, which means about 1 mile of railroad per road. Per year. This is very surprising because since 1805, the railroad has been such of economic development. It has developed our country very much, and to have only 23 miles over the course of 25 years is very surprising. Most of America is actually covered by railroads today. We're next going to move on to the Cherokee people. This one is called Sequoyah. Sequoyah was a Native American who helped with the languages between America and the natives. He created the official syllabary, which is a sort of translator between both of the languages. He moved all over the country from Tennessee to Oklahoma. Finally, did you know that it is not known when Sequoyah was born or when he died either? Next, we're going to move on to another Cherokee man. His name is John Ross. John Ross was another helper between Native Americans and the Americans themselves. He had the native name of, excuse me if I pronounce this wrong, but Gewis, and he was the principal chief of the Cherokee natives for 36 years. Ross lived to be about 76 years old, where he died in Washington, D.C. Next, we're going to talk about John Marshall, who is an American that had 2 children after his graduation from the College of William and Mary. He was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court for 1 year as well. Finally, he died at 79 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Finally, we're going to talk about Andrew Jackson, which is probably our last person. He was the 7th President of the United States, and he was the president who passed the Indian Removal Act. This was an act that took most of the Cherokee and the Creek out of the region they were originally in. He said that Native Americans were children in need of guidance during the time of the Indian Removal Act. He also was the leader of the whole process of the Indian Removal Act as well as the War of Creek. Next, we're going to move on to one of our final ones. This is the Dahlonega Gold Rush. The Dahlonega Gold Rush was the state of Georgia searching for ample amounts of gold the Americans had to offer. They especially found gold in the northern mountainous regions. Finally, over 10,000 citizens became miners to comb the U.S. for its gold. This is very surprising because right now America was in the low millions, and to have 10,000 citizens become miners is also very surprising. Finally, we're going to move on to the Trail of Tears. The Trail of Tears was a path that the Cherokee and Creek Indians took when they were forced out of Georgia. In 1989, Congress was officially declared that the path was 2,200 miles, and it went over 9 states. Many artifacts are still found on the path, and they are either given to museums or kept on the trail as a memorial. Thank you very much for viewing this video. I hope that you learned something new today. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will post more soon. Again, thank you very much. Bye.